Welcome everyone back to another episode of PixelHeart Duo Gaming for Couples by Frickin' Fox. It's a new year. It's 2024.
Woohoo!
Yes. As always, I am still Frick,
And I am still Fox.
as far as we know. And yeah, so the last few episodes we had kind of been talking about some couple stuff, some date ideas, just significant others you can play games together, the best consoles, the easiest consoles for both local and long distance relationships. We covered that we both now have Xbox Series X's. I've had mine for a while. She bought hers. We actually played a little bit of It Takes Two over the New Year weekend. We rang in the New Year in the Denver area together. Broke in her Series X a little bit, played some It Takes Two, and then got it installed.
A phenomenal game. It was so much fun. I am looking forward to seeing more.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to play both in person and separately. I got it installed on my Series X. So, what we're gonna do, since this is our first episode, and people are gonna grill me because I know I just said PixelHeart Duo when it's PixelHeart Duo. I messed up my own podcast title name because I typed it wrong in the notes.
Frickin' Fox!
Yeah, jeez. What we're going to do is we are going to talk, each of us, we have picked 3 games that we are most excited for that are supposed to be or slated to be released in 2024. It's been kind of weird for releases since the pandemic because a lot of stuff got pushed back. I know, for example, one of my titles that I'm going to be covering tonight, early access was in 2023, but it actually got pushed back to 2024. Most of my titles don't have release dates. They're just TBD, TBA, or like Q3. But we're still going to cover them. And we're going to kind of branch out a little bit going forward. We're going to talk about couples gaming. We're going to talk about, ideas for gaming together. We're going to talk... But, we are a couple that games. And we like single-player content. We like sharing stories together. We love playing together, but we also love together playing, if you get what I'm saying. So this, since it is our first episode of the new year of 2024, we are going to cover some titles that we are most excited about releasing this year. And they might be multiplayer, they might not be. We play a lot of games. So I will back clean up on this. If you want to cover your first few games, and we'll just we'll just discuss them and things that we're most excited, and then I'll do mine, and then we've got some kind of bonus ones. We've got a topic at the end, and then we will wrap up this first episode of 2024. So why don't you go ahead and take it away and unveil your most anticipated 2024 titles?
All right. Well, my first top pick for titles that I am super excited is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. It's going to be released for PC, Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, and Amazon Luna. Release date is only a couple of weeks away, January 18th, 2024. So get into your GameStop or wherever you order your games from and pre-order now. Because gosh, I'd hate for you to be standing there without anything. It's described as a side-scrolling platformer. It's neither a sequel nor a prequel. And during this game, you'll discover the cursed Persian-inspired world filled with bigger-than-life landmarks. Dash into a stylish and thrilling action-adventure platformer game set in a mythological Persian world where the boundaries of time and space are yours to manipulate. Explore a variety of highly detailed biomes, each with its own identity, wonders, and dangers. Use your wits to solve puzzles, find hidden treasures, and complete quests to learn more about this corrupted place. Now, for me, not only is the game beautiful, as you can see, the great thing about it is because it's neither a sequel nor a prequel, you don't have to catch up. You don't have to figure out like where you are in the grand scheme of Prince of Persia things. You can just jump right on in. You can start your Prince of Persia adventure now. You don't have to watch Jake Gyllenhaal in his movie, which was more Assassin's Creed than Prince of Persia. But okay, whatever they wanted to do. Um, but yeah, so I've enjoyed previous titles. I'm super excited about this one. It's just expanding on a franchise that's near and dear to my heart. I'm a sucker for mythology, which you will see with my next several recommendations as well. Um, but yeah, it's just the artwork is just really truly captivating, and that's something that I'm always going to be drawn to. And the fact that it's going to be a title that's released on pretty much every gaming platform there is. I am one of those people that um, I don't like, platform exclusivity. I think the gaming world is a better world when everybody's playing. So, um, that's kind of my take and why that makes Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown my top pick. Plus, it's also coming soon, and it's that instant gratification thing. I don't I lose my attention span when you start talking about like Q4 release dates when it's Q1. What do you think, Rick?
Yeah, I mean it, and this is one that I'm gonna have to pick up as well. I remember playing the original Prince of Persia on like an old Tandy where it was like grayscale, black and white. Um, swinging along, remembering growing up like the old Pitfall game, and then Prince of Persia was just like a level up from that, and just following along. And I know that there were some pretty lackluster, some duds that got launched under the Prince of Persia moniker. It went away for a while. It really was not a good series, and the fact that they are taking it back to kind of a side scroller puzzle uh, type game, back to its roots, so to speak, and just keeping it with beautiful current gen graphics. It's something that is going to be a ton of fun. I'm really looking forward to trying it out. Um, my thing, and it's more of a personal thing for me, I I say this with my retro console sitting next to me and behind me. I have a hard time keeping my attention with titles that don't push some sort of boundary, and it's going to be interesting to see how long it takes me to beat this game, just because it looks beautiful. I can't wait to play it. You don't have to have played the previous duds. You don't have to know about Prince of Persia from 1991. You can just go into it. So it's going to be nice to see. It'll be interesting to see how long it takes me to beat it, just because I have a really hard time, and we talked about this offline over the weekend. I have a hard time finishing games. When I sense that I am near the end of a game, it's almost like I'm allergic to beating them. There are very few games that I beat start to finish. My most recent one was Dave the Diver. I did that just because it was a sushi making simulator that, oh, by the way, there was also a story. But it took me an additional 2 weeks to beat the game. So, like, it's going to be interesting to see how long it takes me to beat this game, because it looks like it's going to be a title that is really going to be a lot of fun. I just hope that I don't get in my own way and I'm able to kind of enjoy it start to finish, and then we can kind of talk about it, after it's launched and been out for a while and we both have had a chance to play it.
Well, when it comes to playing games by myself, I have a penchant for side-scrolling platformers, Ori and the Blind Forest and Trine, all of those. I just I enjoy that, that side scrolling action. I am terrible at wall jumps, so that does make things a little bit more difficult for me. Um, I know, like for example, the once the Sonic franchises and the Crash Bandicoots went to like the 3D thing, boy, that kind of messes with me a lot, and my depth perception is awful. So, with this game, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And fun fact: Ori and the Blind Forest is my favorite title of all time. So, there you go. we may ask that question later on. So next on my pick is yet another platformer. But it's and also a remake. Braid, the Anniversary Edition. That too will be released on PlayStation, PC, and Xbox, iOS, or Android for Netflix subscribers. The release date for this one is April 30th, 2024. So I think that it is also in pre-order zone, if you need that. In this puzzle platformer, you're playing Tim, a man on a mission to rescue an abducted princess. Manipulate time. There's a theme again. I like time manipulation. I think if that was going to be a superpower that I could pick, it would be time manipulation. Uh, Manipulate time in unusual ways, and you progress through challenging puzzles that also allow the forgiveness of moving through the game even if you get stuck. So if you're on a screen and you just can't figure out the puzzle, you can just move through it and go back to it later. If you have an aha moment, you're like, oh, now I know how to solve that. So you can't. That is something that is really good for somebody like me who does get stuck frequently in games. I was just, telling Frick the other week about getting stuck on this particular spot in the next Ori and the Will of the Wisp, and um, I refuse to move on until I solve it. Um, but I actually really like that this game offers you the opportunity to go past it and then come back to it. That's a big thing for me. So the original Braid was released in 2008. It was very pixelated. The music, the sound was not so awesome or whatever. It's been completely remastered. The artwork, it's almost like it's like a painted like brush style artwork, and it's really again it's really a pretty game. Um, Solve puzzles by changing the flow of time in this remastered of the classic. It's hand repainted graphics and fully reimagined sound. Um, and there's 15 hours of commentary on game design and the remastering process that they took, which I don't know about you, but I actually love behind the scenes kind of content. It gives me an appreciation for the game, and because this is such a loved title for many people, you will actually be able to switch back and forth. So you can play the original 2008 version if you want, or you can toggle it to the remastered version, which isn't going to, have that heavy pixelation as well as, the updated music and sound.
Well, and I'm excited to see because I Braid was one of those games that I beat way back, in 2008, 2009 when it came out. I loved it because of, you know, the art style and how it just everything was so cute but also not. And like it was very it was long before like the Cuphead style of hand drawing panels came out, which spoiler alert, One of us is really good with the controller in their hand, the other one not so much. So we probably won't be covering Cuphead as a couple or any sequels. Those that is not a title that we will be covering probably.
I'm getting better. I know the difference between the joystick and the D-pad. So
Y'all, I had to explain to her that the right joystick controlled the camera and It Takes Two. But she is getting better. She's getting better. But I am looking forward to seeing what they do because Braid, when it released, was already a beautiful game. You know, the music was just like calming. I loved the fact it was one of those titles where you could rewind the puzzle and be like, oh, I shouldn't have jumped over that enemy. Oh, I shouldn't have gone here. Now I'm going to get stuck. Let me just go back and then try again. Like, I'm really interested to see how they spruce it up and how they make it feel fresh and new, without it being a sequel, because it's not. It's like it's just this like remastering, and so it was already a really good looking game when it came out, and so I'm interested to see what it's going to look like in 4K and 8K, and all of our advanced architecture and current gen consoles. And I'm also interested to see what it's going to look like on mobile devices. It's going to be one of those games where you can have it on iOS and Android, and so yeah, it's definitely, it's not going to be a game where you dump hours upon hours upon hours into it, but it's going to be a game that does have replay. Like, can I beat this puzzle faster? Can I 100% this? Can I complete everything? Can I go back through? Did I miss stuff? And so it's going to be really interesting to see what the anniversary edition is like.
I have to say I'm super excited to watch the speedrun streams on Twitch. I think those are gonna be a lot of fun. I always enjoy speedrun competitions and streamers. So uh we'll be seeing a lot of those. I have a feeling once this drops in April. So there's my Q2 pick. So on to my Q3 pick. This is this title is actually something that's near and dear to my heart, because it's a story that I have loved since a child. I think being Asian, I am biologically required to love the story of Wukong, the Monkey King. Um, so my next pick for my most excited titles for 2024 is Black Myth Wukong. It'll be releasing August 20th, 2024 for PlayStation, PC, and Xbox. Sorry, Nintendo Switch players, but I think you'll be okay with it. This is an RPG rooted in Chinese mythology. Again, there's that mythological tie that just pulls at my heartstrings. Based on the 16th century Chinese novel Journey to the West, it's a story about a monkey who makes a journey across the western regions to obtain sacred texts. You set out as the destined one to venture into the challenges and marvels ahead to uncover the obscure truth beneath the veil of a glorious legend from the past. It's a beautiful game that draws inspiration from older Chinese artwork, particularly Buddhist paintings. There is a caveat. It is reported that the gameplay feels very Souls-like. And you can see that in the gameplay videos that have been released. The boss fights, in particular, are very choreographed, very technical, and very difficult. Which is something that is something I'm gonna have to get over because like I've told many people, I avoid Souls games because they hurt my feelings because they are unnecessarily hard. But I'm gonna have to get over that and tackle Black Myth Wukong because I love this story and I want to see how this rendition communicates that beautiful, beautiful connection to something that, is a childhood story.
Yeah, and for me, it's funny because I don't like Soulsborne games. I don't. I loved Shadow of the Colossus, so let's put that together. Like, that's kind of where From Software tied a lot of inspiration. And so I played Ghost of Tsushima, which was kind of like it had those hard bosses, but there was a complete story. I did not play Sekiro. I just if it's Soulsborne Light, if it says From Software, I get that butthole pucker because it's like I like stories like bosses that are designed to just make you break your controller because you've died 30 times on them don't sound fun to me. I have not given it a chance. So, like you, I love Asian mythology. I loved playing Smite back when it first came out. I loved the idea of playing, deities and, playing Shiva and playing all these other characters, playing Thor. I just love mythology. In Asian mythology, especially, I like watching like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I love watching all the old Shaolin movies. Like I love just the Asian mythology, and so it looks like it's going to be a beautiful game. I might have to get down off of my soapbox. I might actually have to try this game, and say it's actually pretty good. I like it. I probably won't beat it, or if I do, it might take me 15 years to beat it. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited too. I'm excited to see kind of the visuals. I'm excited to get it on a screen and play it, get a controller in my hand, and just feel what it's like. And so we'll see how it plays. I'll give it a chance. Seeing Souls-like combat, it's like, ugh. But one of these days, I'm gonna have to stop clutching my pearls and actually try one of these titles. And this is probably the first one, so we'll see.
Well, I have a feeling that this is going to be the game. If I haven't done it before August 20th, 2024, this will be the game that makes or breaks me on controllers. So, I'm hoping. I believe in myself because that's how badly I want to play the Monkey King. I want to be the Monkey King. So, uh, so I'm definitely gonna give this one a whirl. And you know what? Maybe it turns into a title that I just watch on Twitch. I don't know. Which is entirely possible and not a waste of time. Especially when you look at the artwork and the cinematics that I'm seeing being released so far. So those are my three picks. I've got one for Q1, Q2, Q3. Q4 is too far away. I don't want to think about it. So,
We'll probably do another episode in the summer to cover the second half because there's going to be surprise announcements as well. And
yeah.
Nintendo's going to do what Nintendo does, and there's rumblings that they're going to announce their next console in March. So we'll definitely have to do something. And Sony and Microsoft and all of the third party developers they're constantly surprising us. So we'll have to see. But you do platformers, I do RPGs, and I really, really had to stop myself from just going, here's 3 RPGs that you can devote 100 hours each into. Have fun. See ya. So my 3 are going to be kind of all over the place. They have reasons why they are my 3 most anticipated. And they don't have release dates right now because stuff got pushed back. The first one I'm going to cover is an Xbox exclusive. It is a sequel to another Xbox exclusive, and that is Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. It continues the story in an adventure through Iceland in the Age of the Vikings. We were talking about mythology. We were talking about all sorts of it. This one, Not quite the same, but still up the mythology alley. Although the original game is self-published, Xbox Game Studios acquired Ninja Theory in 2018 and is publishing Senua's Saga as an Xbox Series X and S console exclusive. Like Senua's Sacrifice, the new entry deals with mental illness and other issues through a unique and interesting lens. Now, those of you who played the original Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, you'll know it messes with you because you are playing a young woman who deals with schizophrenia and hallucinations and mental illness. And the entire time, especially if you're playing with surround sound, you're playing with soundbar, you're playing with Dolby Atmos, you have headsets on, the entire time you are hearing stuff in the back of your headsets. Like it's one of those like games where if you don't like horror movies but you like suspenseful psychological thrillers that like play on your own insecurities in your head, it makes you go crazy. Senua's Sacrifice was that game. I actually played it a couple times through. Funny little kind of side thing. I do have a child. I have offspring that suffers from mental illness. I do have friends that have suffered from mental illness. My adopted sister actually does suffer from schizophrenia and mental illness. So it kind of it hits home for me because it's like, okay, I want to play this. I want to see this. And it really, it is kind of like it's a mind trap. Like the first game, you play it, it's a gorgeous game. It's beautiful. The sound is great. Like the actress that they have playing Senua is fantastic. The voice acting is great. The line's great. The story is great. Like the gameplay is great, but really what puts it over the top is the fact that they are somehow able to capture what it is like to have schizophrenia in a video game, and it puts you right in the role of Senua, and it's like it's constantly just messing with you, like little like, did I just hear a whisper? Like, what did they say? And like you spend the next 5 minutes going, am I gonna hear, like, what's gonna happen? Like it like plays on your own internal emotions, but nothing ever really happens. And then there's other points in the game where there are jump scares and they're like, oh my god, and you're like, holy crap. So it like encapsulates what it is like to suffer mental illness in a game that I argue should have won a lot of awards. And so Hellblade 2 Senua's Saga is something I am really, really looking forward to. It's rumored that it's going to come out in Q3 2024. It could come out sooner. It could come out, later. I don't know. Like, my titles are going to be, they're going to come out when they come out, and when they come out, I'm going to play them and I'm going to love them. So that is my first title.
Well, I think, and games like this are important to society, really. I feel like it's, you know, video games do have the capability of bringing us together. And if it can spark conversations and spark understanding and compassion, I'm all for it. So, I of course it's too much to say that, oh, well, it can, this is exactly what it's like to have, to suffer from mental illness or whatever, schizophrenia or, paranoia episodes or that kind of thing. Of course, like those struggles are far beyond what can be captured in a video game. But if it can get the conversation started and get it normalized, then it could be a tool that's used to kind of bring us all together and heal some hurts. So that, I know that's a heavy topic, for for a gaming podcast, but you know what, this is the real world too. We're not just stuck in our pixels. So I'm looking forward to this title as well.
Yeah, and Ninja Theory, they were a small indie studio when they came out with Senua's Sacrifice. And the fact that they made what they made. For those of you who haven't played it, go play it. It was on Game Pass. It got brought to other consoles. I think now that Ninja Theory is under the Microsoft umbrella, there will be no plans to bring it to any other console other than Microsoft properties. However, Senua's Sacrifice is out there, and so I would recommend you play it. It is a little spoopy, but it is really good, and it delves into some heavy topics. But it's also, if you just kind of remove yourself from that and you're like, yeah, I just want to play a really good game, it's a really good game. And it's beautiful. And so that is my first one. It does not have a release date, like I said, but when it does, make sure that you check all of your major distributors and outlets. Walk into your local GameStop. It'll be up on the list. You'll be able to look at it. Pre-order it. Do all the things you normally do. So yeah, my second game is another sequel. I have sequels upon sequels and continuations, but you know what's when you got a good series and the sequel comes out, you get excited for it. My second one is Hades 2. The sequel to the 2020 godlike roguelike Hades arrives in early access in summer 2024. Hades 2 will make you battle beyond the underworld using dark sorcery to take on the Titan of Time, developer Supergiant Games writes on its website, continuing the original game's breathless crusade against Destiny. And for those of you who played Hades, it was across the board, Switch, Xbox, every platform it was on. It was phenomenal. And it was hours upon hours upon hours of replayability, because every time you stepped foot in the underworld, it was procedurally generated. And you had to go, and the only way to get out was to make it through all of the levels or die. And come right back and unlock new weapons, unlock new abilities, unlock upgrades to your character, unlock upgrades to Hades. And so this is going to be more of the same. I believe I stopped playing Hades. It was one of the ones where I did not beat it, but I was about 80 hours into it because I just had so much fun. I mean, it was visually stunning. The music was great. The voice acting was great. We're talking about mythology. You got, Apollo, you got Mera, Hera, you've got Hades, you've got Zeus, you have all of these, like, mythological people, these deities. And, the first one you played is Hades. The second one you're playing as a witch from the underworld. And it is going to be a game that I cannot wait to see how many hours I can put into it, what upgrades there are, what the story is like. The first one was amazing. It was beautiful. It was on the Switch. You could play it. You could take it anywhere. It was also on all the other major platforms. Hades 2, I'm not sure where it's going to end up when all is said and done. I do know it is coming to Windows PC. I do know that it will make its way onto Xbox. Will probably end up in Game Pass. It's our favorite buzzword, Game Pass. We've talked about it a few weeks in a row. We're not going to delve too deep into it, so don't worry. We're not Microsoft shills. We're not getting paid by Microsoft. But a lot of good titles end up on there. But Hades,
not that I'd be against it, Microsoft.
Yeah, wank, wank. The Sony fanboy nudging you. But so early access in 2024 in the summer. So look for that. I can't wait to see what they do with the story. I can't wait to see, what other aces they have up their sleeves. Supergiant Games is another one of those developers that, they make quality content. Hades was amazing. There's a reason it won so many awards, and I'm looking forward to see what they do with Hades 2.
You know what? You had me at mythology. So, let's go. The artwork it's an incredibly aesthetically pleasing game. It's fantastic. And I think much like, what we were talking about with Prince of Persia, I also think that this is a game that you can jump in. You don't have to play the first one in order to enjoy the second one. I'm not a huge fan of, feeling like you've got to catch up. You've got to, watch all the old gameplay or play through it or whatever. So it is very beginner friendly when it comes to this particular title. Um, speaking like beginner friendly to the title, not necessarily beginner friendly to gaming, because it does look a bit challenging. But I think, yeah, like I said, you had me at mythology. That's all. Let's go.
Yeah, beginners gonna get wrecked. Like
Yeah,
Hades had a steep learning curve, especially when you got new abilities and new weapons unlocked. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. So that is my second one. It kind of has a release date. I cheated. Summer 2024 early access. Not sure when the full game is going to be released. My third game, sticking to mythology or Asian, is from a huge studio, a big team, well known. The names might not be well known, the titles will be well known. And this is a game that excuse me, I am breaking from my exclusivity and saying this is one that's going to be released on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Windows PC, and the Xbox Series S and X. It has a TBA, not sure when it's going to be released, but you know what? When it gets released, people are going to love it. And that is Metaphor ReFantazio. Three of the minds behind Persona 3, 4, and 5, director Katsura Hashino, character designer Shigenori Sojima, and composer Shoji Meguro, are back with this high fantasy RPG. Packed with colorful lands and contorted monsters, Metaphor ReFantazio will return to the roots of where the Japanese games industry began. Atlus first said in 2016 by being a traditional fantasy RPG with distinctively Atlus flavor. Now, those of you who have played the Persona games, those of you who have played other Atlus titles, Reiji Got, for those of you who know me from my YouTube and streaming days back when I was a media personality, I did a tech yes or no on Reiji Got. Atlus makes titles that are visually stunning. They make titles that have great gameplay, they have great story. You can play them for hours upon hours upon hours. I'm looking at you, Persona 5, that I still haven't beaten. I'm 112 hours into it. Thank you for reminding me, brain. I need to finish the game. But Metaphor ReFantazio, I can't wait to see what they do with it. It's got a hilariously Japanese name. Like, what does it even mean? But I can't wait. I mean, these guys, this development team, they put together bangers. Persona 3 is going to get re-released. Can't wait for that. Persona 5, it was so good, they made Strikers. They made other games. They made Persona 4 had a golden. Like, they just kept re-releasing it, and people would eat it up. They had content on top of content on top of content. So I can't wait to see what this game is like. Again, it's another single player game, but it's an RPG. I am a sucker for RPGs, from the original Dragon Quest and Dragon Warriors, Final Fantasy 1. I love RPGs, and I love RPGs that you don't beat in 12 hours. So if this is anything like any of the other Atlus titles, it is going to be a long game that you are going to get engrossed in, and I cannot wait to see how it plays when it is released, whenever that is this year.
I got introduced with Persona 5 Tactica, the most recent release, and started kind of delving into this realm a little bit with that one. And then you already mentioned that Persona 3 Remaster is going to be coming out, I think, in a couple months, maybe February. I'm not sure exactly on the time frame for that. So hearing that three of the people behind that is behind this new metaphor is it's definitely a plus, because they've already, I mean, who doesn't want to just jump into an anime, and that's what you get to be, is I mean, that I don't know, maybe other people not, but I certainly do. um so it's a beautiful game.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see what they do, like with a Thieves Guild type thing. Because in the other Persona games, as technology advanced, as consoles advanced, with Persona 5, you were able to do like online stuff. You were able to like do co-op stuff. You were able to have like additional things through the Thieves Guild online. So it'll be interesting to see if they have something similar system in Metaphor or ReFantazio whenever it releases in 2024. So that is it for my three. That is it for her three. There are other titles that we wanted to just kind of announce were coming out. We're not necessarily going to cover them, but we're going to put the bug in your ear, and we'll just kind of briefly go over what those titles are. We do have some RPGs coming out. Like I said, I cannot get enough RPGs. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is coming out on PlayStation February 29th of 2024. The game that you're seeing right now is Unicorn Overlord. It's coming out on Switch March 8th, 2024. Ayuden Chronicle 100 Heroes is going to come out on Xbox Series S and X, Xbox One, PS5, PS4, on the Switch, on PC. It is coming out on April 23rd, 2024, and it boasts a robust cast of characters. You're talking like 100 different characters, but there are 3 main characters. Bandle Tale, a League of Legends story, is coming out on Switch and PC with a TBD release date. It's an RPG set in the whimsical world of Bandle City. After a party goes wrong, the portals that connect your home collapse and throw everything into chaos. Using your knitting magic and backpack house, restore the portals to reunite Bandle City. And finally, we'll close with a co-op title, because this is a couples gaming podcast, and that is Hyper Light Breaker. It is an action RPG coming out on Windows and PC. It'll probably be released on other platforms later. It is a follow-up to the first Hyper Light game. If it's anything like the first one, it is going to be visually stunning. It is going to have an amazing soundtrack. But those are some more titles that are going to be released this year in 2024. They just didn't make our top 3. Any other day they would have, but there's so many titles coming out in 2024. There's stuff that we don't even know when it's getting released, and there's stuff that we don't even know that it is getting released. And we were a little bit light on the Switch content. There is a new Mario game coming out. Luigi's Mansion 2 is getting re-released. Princess Peach is going to have a title. Switch has some fantastic titles too. Chances are we'll cover them as well in a later episode. But so that we didn't make this a 3 or 4 hour long episode, we really had to condense it down. We might cheat and do like a part 2 later on. I don't know. We just, we decide on the topic 45 seconds before we go on air. So now you're hearing our secrets. But there's a lot of titles coming out in 2024 that we are excited for. And I am looking forward to seeing how some of these play.
And we'd like to ask y'all, like, what titles are you looking forward to this year? And knowing Frick's penchant for RPGs, my penchant for side-scrolling platforms, what would you recommend that we take a look at? Especially within the realm of mythology and time manipulation and all that stuff that gets us, super geeky. So yeah, just drop a comment and let us know what you're looking forward to this year.
Yeah, and you can leave a comment on our YouTube videos. We do publish these on Fridays on our YouTube channel, Frickin' Fox. You can search for PixelHeart Duo. It'll pop up. You can just search for Frickin' Fox LLC. Leave a comment, or if you want to email us because you want to make it more private, admin@frickinfox.com. We do mailbag episodes. We'd love to hear from you. So yeah, those are our titles that we are most looking forward to, and we will add more at a later date. Our topic idea for tonight, I'll go ahead and open it up, and then I'll kick the floor over to you to kind of get your thoughts on this before I close it out and tell everybody why things are bad and other things are good, because I am an elitist jerk. So our topic idea for tonight deals with backwards compatibility. Will your Xbox Series X play Xbox 360 games? Will your PS5 play your PS4, your PS3, your PS2 games? Like, how does previous architecture fit in with current gen consoles. So go ahead and take it away. The floor is yours.
So the general consensus is that Xbox has done a better job with backwards compatibility than their main competitor, Sony. And the as we discussed a couple weeks ago, the Xbox Series X is the latest gen for Xbox, and it can play titles that were made for the original Xbox released back in 2001. So, 22-year-old discs, if you've got them laying around, toss it in your Series X, see if it'll play. There's a good possibility that it will. Um, However, it is not the same due to structural reasons. The PS5, for the most part, cannot play anything pre PS4 unless it has been specifically remastered for the PS5 um, through the PlayStation Store Plus. So, you know, it's kind of some sad news if you just picked up a PS5 and, you've got some PS3, PS2 games laying around. You're probably not going to get much out of those games. So that's what the word on the street is for the most part. Both of them, the official language is very vague, where they both say most games will play. Xbox again, has much better track record for it, and PS3 is pretty much a non-starter with PS5. Like you just, it's not going to happen. And Frick can kind of explain a little bit as to why.
Yeah, and one of the things that Sony did very well, for those of you who are following along, I am a Sony fanboy. It carries a massive asterisk because brand loyalty doesn't really mean anything anymore. Everything is super powered. Everything is great. Everything has console exclusives. Sony and Microsoft, they're in these like arms races to buy up as many developers and as many studios as they can to make quote unquote first party titles. So it'll be interesting to see that play out. My quip with Sony is that they do not play nice with others. They don't even play nice with themselves. PS1 and PS2 had similar hardware architecture, so it wasn't hard to play a PS1 game in the PS2 era. Then PS3s came out. PlayStation 3, it looked weird. It was really sleek. They tried to go futuristic. PlayStation 2 was right around the time when Blu-ray was still very new. Sony kind of boasted, like, we are the first console that has Blu-ray technology. Now, Microsoft got it in the Xbox, in the Xbox 360, but by that point, it was kind of like, okay, well, now Sony's getting a little weird. I can understand if you had different data type, if you had different like game types. Like for example, you can't play Super Nintendo games on a Super Nintendo because they're just different. You had different cartridges. I've got Nintendo 64 stuff. They're all different. I mean, it's Nintendo, but it's different. This, it has been the medium for years. So the fact that Xbox, you can grab an Xbox game, you can throw it in an Xbox Series X, and you can play it, or you can get it on Game Pass. You can get a game on the Microsoft Store. Boom, Microsoft, sweet. Sony, you need to step your game up, because the fact that like there are dozens of titles that we haven't played unless we have a console. We have an old console, and spoiler alert, almost all of my retro consoles are Nintendos because I had a Nintendo as a kid. My parents got me a Sega Genesis instead of Super Nintendo, so I have a Super Nintendo now. Suck it, mom and dad. I don't have all the PlayStation consoles. Even though I am a fanboy, I didn't keep them. So it's like there are so many games I probably will never play again. And luckily, some of the titles, some of the IPs are getting re-released. Like Chrono Cross. I loved Chrono Trigger as a kid. I have a copy of it. Chrono Cross came out on PlayStation 1. I played the crap out of it, and then it just disappeared because you couldn't play it on a later PlayStation. Now, luckily, it popped up on the Nintendo eShop. I have it on my Switch. I can play it whenever I want. It's just as confusing without a guide as it was when it first came out. But Microsoft really has hit a home run with their ability to say, hey, you have an old Xbox game? Yeah, it's going to look like trash, but you can put it in your Series X. You got a CRT, you got an old TV? Yeah, hook it up. It'll look great. Like, you can play all your old games. Sony, if it's not remastered, if it's not in the PlayStation Store, sorry, like unless you have an old console, unless you are spending hundreds of dollars in the retro market, which after the pandemic has skyrocketed in price. I say this as someone who loves their retro stuff. I love my retro consoles. It's unfortunate. I mean, I really could go off on an even like longer rant, but that is really where Microsoft has a leg up, and backwards compatibility. And I really hope that Sony opens the floodgates soon, because I want to play a lot of these old titles like Legend of Dragoon. I want to play it. RPGs galore. I want to play it. Legend of Mana. I want to play it. Like, I want to play all these old games. Even the old Star Wars titles. Like, let me play the old Star Wars titles. For my PlayStation 1 days. Let me play the old Armored Cores. Like, Armored Core 6 came out. Great. I want to play 1 and 2. Back when I was in high school, watching the newest Dragon Ball Z episode, playing Armored Core with my buddy. Like, let me play those without having a PlayStation 1 or a PlayStation 2. So that's my tirade. That's my soapbox. I'm going to put it away. I'm going to put it down. And I'm going to be done with that.
Well, and hopefully Nintendo, as they are preparing to announce something about, the next iteration of Switch, hopefully they, take a listen and maybe take a leaf from Microsoft's book, and, make sure that they don't make older games obsolete as they push forward into their next iteration. Um, Psst, Nintendo, I would really love for you to make an adapter so that we could play our DS cartridges on our Switch. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can just like make that happen, right?
Yes, and the virtual consoles are great. If you pay the extra for the Nintendo monthly, you do have 3DS consoles, but it's not the same. Getting a Nintendo 64, getting a Super Nintendo or a Nintendo on your Switch, it's not the same. Like, I'm a purist. It's not the same. So, yeah. I promise I won't say anything else. But for those of you who want to chime in, leave a comment on YouTube. Send us an email. Tell us your thoughts on backwards compatibility. Yay or nay. Some of your favorite titles that you wish you could play again. Some of the titles that you're excited that it's now popping up on digital stores and digital formats. Where did you jump into the console wars, so to speak, quote unquote? Like, just give us your thoughts. Like, we'd love to hear from you and what you think about it. So that pretty much wraps up another episode of PixelHeart Duo, gaming for couples. Hopefully you got some good information. We introduced you to some titles. We put some titles back on your brain that you might have heard about back before E3 died, a couple years ago, and gave you some titles to be excited about. And we'll continue to talk about other titles. I mean, it's the 3rd of January when we're recording this. The first week in January, there's going to be a bunch of stuff that pops up, a bunch of titles that pop up. There's going to be gaming announcements left and right. We're going to try and cover things from a couple's perspective, as a gaming couple that we get super excited about things. So drop us a line. Tune in weekly. We live stream on Twitch on Wednesday nights about 8:30, 8:45 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We live in Colorado, so we're gonna do that. We upload to our YouTube channel, Frickin' Fox, on Fridays. We simultaneously push all of the content out across Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, the Google Music, Google Podcasts, pretty much everywhere you get podcasts. Search PixelHeart Duo. We push that out at the same time we put up the VODs. Send us an email, admin@frickinfox. Just tell us your thoughts. Tell us if you want us to cover a topic. Just, get us our thoughts on stuff. We are not professionals in the gaming industry. We are professional amateurs. Like, we just are enthusiasts, same as you. If there are any game studios or developers out there that are looking for people that are really pretty looking and have very strong opinions, hire us. But until then, we will be enthusiasts just like everybody else. Look for us next week. We look forward to hearing from you, and we will let you know what the title of our episode is and the topics that we're covering next week. As always, I am Frick.
And I am Fox.
And we will catch you guys weekly on Twitch, YouTube, and all of your favorite podcasting platforms. Until then, game on.